How are you?
Good. How's everybody doing? What's your fun fact about?
Yeah.
Oh God! If I have to do a fun fact about him, it's going to get real boring.
Absolutely.
Fun fact
It could
about
be
players.
it could be as simple as favorite ice cream flavor.
I may lean on him. What's your favorite ice cream flavor?
Ooh, fun fact.
Oh, I'll tell you one. His goal from our Italy trip, other than the team improving,
Yes.
eat pizza every night.
Did you?
Yes. 10 for 10. Consistency.
Yeah.
Took a lot of discipline. Our family and I, not only dinners but lunches. We had pizza or pasta or both for every lunch, and whatever we had at dinner was followed or complemented by a slice or a mini of pizza.
Incredible.
Yeah. Still working it off.
Well, aside from great food, what all did you get out of the trip? Did you perhaps even more so in some areas than maybe you thought going into it?
Yeah, definitely. From a basketball standpoint, a ton. Really from the practices more so than the experience over there. Although we gained a lot from being able to play 3 games over there against a different opponent. But the extra hours that the NCAA gave us, we took advantage of, and did a lot of installing this summer to where today's a little bit different than the last few years, the way we've approached it, because we have a lot of our meat and potatoes in right now, and we're a little bit ahead of where we were a year ago.
What do you feel like you know about this group right now, and what do you want to learn over these next few weeks getting ready for the start of the regular season?
A lot of parity, a lot of depth. This team is pretty competitive. Practices have been very spirited. Guys are getting after. This team likes to work. They like to compete. I really have enjoyed working with this group. I'm really excited for practice. I know our guys are fired up. I think you guys will get a taste of it too, as you guys and gals, as you witness the first part of it. That there'll be a lot of energy in the gym.
Whenever you go into the portal and you're looking at guys, how do you gauge if a player is going to be competitive, is going to bring the juice every day? Can you do that, or is it something you don't learn until you get them here?
No, you do your best, right? And you there are ways that we can study film, and you try to make educated guesses, of course, and you do your homework. And some of these guys, you're able to call other people throughout the recruiting process in their circle, and maybe former coaches. You do as much homework as you possibly can. It is recruiting, though. It's evaluation. It is inexact to a certain extent. But we've got some guys that, for the most part, I want to say we brought in 9 new guys, correct? 7, I think, have won at a really high level, and the other 2, I've been really pleased with their work ethic and their eagerness to be a part of something bigger than themselves, and hopefully help Georgia take the next step.
Jabri said that this is the closest team he's been a part of at Georgia. How have you seen that play out, on a day-to-day basis?
It's refreshing to be a part of a bunch of guys that seem to really like each other. Of course, this team hasn't hit a lot of adversity, of course, but I do think that the amount of character on and off the court with these guys and in the locker room will help these guys, especially given the opportunities and experiences from this past summer, to spend a lot of time with each other, again, in between the lines and outside the lines. And we're going to continue to challenge them to have real, authentic relationships with one another, not just everything being positive, right? We talk about family a lot, and there's going to be some arguments. Hey, I was open, but how do we talk that out? Is it healthy, or is it going to be avoided? The strongest cultures have real conversations with one another consistently. We above me, right? We win, we all win, and I think this team has a chance to do that, to help us become our best version. What that is, who knows down the road, but again, I think they really like each other. I think this group is competing at a really high level in our practices so far, hopefully today to another level in the first official one.
Justin talked to Jabri. Talking about how much work he's been putting in, and you had talked about that a little bit before the Italy trip, but what makes Jabri stand out about how he's been going about his business?
He's been, his overall approach, he's just provided more maturity. His responses to a missed shot or two, or a blown defensive assignment, we're all going to make mistakes, but a huge part of the game of basketball, a game of inches and milliseconds, is being able to respond to the last mistake or made shot, the last positive or negative. Can I stay in the moment and move on, move forward? What's the next responsibility? And I think he's grown a lot in that regard. I think he puts a lot of pressure on himself, as do a lot of young men. that are as talented as he is. He's one of the best shooters in our league, and I expect him to have a really good year. He's tried to get out of himself a little bit more too. I think the more he's communicating with teammates and leading helps him stay in that moment.
You mentioned his leadership. How much have you seen him and the other three guys, Justin, Frank, and MA, that are coming back?
Yeah.
How have you seen them be leaders, knowing that they've been through a season under your direction?
They've all grown. Jabri the most from a vocal standpoint. Justin too. MA probably the most from an exertion standpoint, from an intensity level standpoint. Not that those other guys aren't playing hard; they are. We don't have a guy right now that's not playing hard, which gives you a chance, of course, to have good practices and to stack days. But MA's played really hard, and he's played with a lot of intensity on the glass and on the defensive end.
Mike, how much of the schedule did you inherit versus adding, and what does the elevated schedule do for your program?
Not much this year did we inherit. This was, if I'm not mistaken, other than Georgia Tech, right? I believe that might be the only one. So this was us just wanting to get better, wanting to take the next step, challenge ourselves as a program, as a team. And guys, the signees that came to Georgia wanted these type opportunities for development, and also, who knows, you win enough of them, and we'll see where those opportunities come March.
Does that help focus when you know you've got to, line up against some of these teams you're playing, or is that it all coming into play?
I would hope so. We'll be in trouble with our schedule, but I think that this group will embrace it. They're excited about the tough schedule that's in front of us, and excited about competing with one another in practice every day, getting
Mike,
better.
I know you're process driven, so
Absolutely.
So this question is one of those that you're not even going to be thinking about. But I asked Bree about what stands between Georgia and an NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
And obviously there's a long laundry list of things, but if you were breaking it down, what are some of those key pillars for this program to take that next step?
Boy, a lot. Putting in the hoop, getting some stops, rebounding it better. As much as we talk about being process driven and not results driven, and we're running our race, and Jabri's running his race individually, and Russell Chu is running his race, and let's get better today, let's attack today, right? All those things we're huge believers in, and at the same time we want to go to the NCAA tournament. Georgia wants to go to the NCAA tournament. These guys want to go to an NCAA tournament. So I've probably talked about that goal more so with this team, to be totally transparent with you, than I have in a long time. I left it alone as a head coach really the whole time I've been in it, and this year we've actually talked about it a little bit, like, hey, what's the goal for this It's to break through and to get back to a tournament. Now, 95% to 99% of the time, we need to talk about that process in order to get there. How are we going to shoot free throws at a higher rate? How are we going to respond to one another, communicate effectively, all those type things? How are we going to be a upper half, defensive efficiency team? How do we get our assists up, turnovers down? And that's all process-driven stuff that we'll work on today. But ultimately, if we're not trying to get to the tournament, we're wasting time in this league. And obviously the teams in this league that get to the tournament have a chance to make a run, and we want to be there one day.
Is there something about this team that made you feel comfortable addressing that?
Just think that we've got 3 grad transfers. We've got 4 other guys that'll potentially transfer or stay, that'll graduate in the spring. I mean, we've got 7 older guys. We've got freshmen that came here with big aspirations of doing something special at the University of Georgia and laying a foundation. And I feel like sometimes you wonder if those young people feel like you're avoiding it, right? So let's just talk about it. Let's just put it out there. We all want to get there, but we should be, if we're going to get there, way more concerned with how to get there. And at the end, let the results, see where those results.
When you talk about process with recruits, how receptive are those kids to what you're trying to do and build? Because a lot of guys, they want immediate success, for lack of a better word. But you're doing something different to build. How are they being receptive to what you're trying to build?
Well, I think that at the end of the day, they're embracing the honesty, right? That we're trying to build something, right? And we are building something. We laid the foundation last year. Really like the pieces that we brought in. I feel strongly that we'll be better this year. 3rd in the league last year in tempo, committed convicted on playing fast, hoping to be first or second in tempo this year, really getting up and down the floor. But the process piece, I think, is really important in recruiting, because this is a team sport, but it's also an individual sport, and that process is extremely important for their individual aspirations, for our guys to continue to get better individually as we all get better together collectively as well.
You alluded to it there a little bit, but what do you want the identity of this team to be, and how important are these next few weeks in establishing that?
Toughness, attitude, mental toughness, physical toughness, doing what's hard all the time, the attitude, the way we approach everything, the way we respond to everything, on the court, off the court, growth, daily growth. Let's get better today. Let's stack a bunch of days. Let's get a lot better over the next month and then the following month, and see where it goes. You know, great attitude, connectivity, those are things that we're talking about on a daily basis. If we get all those things, good things will happen for this group.
So do you reflect on what you did at Ole Miss? I mean, a lot of what you're saying kind of reflects the grit that maybe you displayed in your career.
Yeah, I was out there playing football, but my teammates were really good at basketball. Threw it to them and ran to the corner before I turned it over, fouled a lot. Yeah, we built something special, though. You know, Rob Evans texted yesterday wishing luck on our first practice. It meant a lot to me, you know, a big mentor in all of our lives. But we had a great group of guys that really got along, got after it, sold out to defending and rebounding. And certain nights it'd be Keith's night to go get 20, certain nights it'd be Ansu's night to go get 20, and that's how you build something. You know, we talked about this a lot last year. Let's take our shot, not my shot, and I'm not gonna get back going on the cliches again, but it's day one, baby. We're all excited, right?
The upgrades at Stegman, I know that was an emphasis for you when you came in. How pleased have you been with that?
I haven't spent a lot of time thinking about it, honestly. Again, something I can't control. I stuck my head in there the other day. It looks great. Ceiling looks great. I'm sure at some point they'll say, hey, this is when you get back in the building, and we'll take advantage. We've taken advantage of our facilities up here to this point. We've got a great facility up here. When I took the job, we were the only program in the league out of 14 schools that didn't have a weight room, strength and conditioning room devoted to just men's and women's basketball, and that has been fixed. I mean, we're in it, and it's beautiful, and it's from what I gather is the largest in our league, again, devoted just to men's and women's basketball. It gives us, not only gets us up to par, but maybe gives us an advantage, something to sell in recruiting. I was down there this morning trying to work off some of that Italy pizza.
Ask you real quick about Noah Thompson, how his game you see it translating to.
Noah Thompson's really good. He's a guy that was close to 3-to-1 assist turnover off the top of my head at Niagara as a big usage guy, their best defender, and got 19.5 a game. Again, played well against the high major opponents that they played and some of the better teams in their league. He's really good. He's good at a lot. He's also a leader. He's positive. He's incredibly smart. He's always talking. He's a split-second thinker. Brings a ton of positive energy to practice. Love coaching him.
What are your early impressions just of this freshman group? What you've seen so
Really like him. Seems like every other day you say, boy, he was our best freshman today, or this guy played better today. They've each had their own days, whether it's Dylan or Blue or Maury or Silas. They're all a little bit different. They complement each other well. They've all won at different places in their process and their journey to this point. But I feel like those are 4 really good building blocks to build around, and guys that have a chance to be really good players, and they're great people.
Yeah, I mean, Justin and Jabri both said themselves that they forget that they're freshmen sometimes. What can you speak to their maturity level so far through just preseason?
A couple of them are just winners. Not a couple. All 4 of them are. A couple have been banged up a little bit at different times. We haven't had a day where all 4 played really well yet, but that's part of the process for freshmen. But really like those guys. Really like the character of them. They get along well. And it is unique in that you've got a guy like Noah Thomas in Italy going to lunch with a Silas Demery who's a freshman and he's a 5th-year senior. So part of that connection, that those relationships can be fast-tracked by the maturity level and the understanding of importance by these older guys to help speed up these young guys.
Yeah.
Are you?
Last question.
You go ahead.
That connection and honesty, you've really been upfront about that, and whether it's talking about championship hopes or just even talking about family, just how important is being open and honest for this team, especially building chemistry, which it seems like it's gone really well so far.
Yeah, it's huge, you know, and everyone thinks they've got good chemistry right now because we're all 0-0, right? But I do think this team, I'm positive about the expectation of this team handling adversity, again, because of the character on and off the court and what they've shown through some hard practices and through some travel adversity, you know, a little bit, I guess we've seen a little bit off the court, but it's what we're building this thing around. It's what we want to have as strong a culture, something that's a little bit easier to control, right, than whether or not shots go in that night or not. So we want to have as strong a culture as we possibly can have, and that's built through, again, real relationships, something that we talk about on a daily basis, work ethic, honesty. You know, today wasn't your best practice. You know, yesterday you were unbelievable. Let's talk about why. Let's watch a little film. Staff's doing a great job, and we're just helping these guys get better, having fun at the same time.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you, guys.